So the Beast in Hospital episode, Paranormal Part 1.
Right.
So this was right when we had launched BooTalk. It's in its infancy.
Right.
And we haven't done hardly anything. I think I did episode 0.
You did do episode
Yes.
0.
And that was it. That's all we had. And we were like, well, we have a few viewers for BooTalk or BooTv. So let's merge it for one episode, and then it can go its separate ways. And so that's what this was. We had Paranormal Part 1 on BooTv and Paranormal Part 2 on BooTalk. On BooTv, we were focusing more on the Louisville area.
Right.
On BooTalk, we focused on Kentucky. And those subjects were not organized that way to begin with. They are edited that way. So I talked about, we sat down and talked about them in a different order than what they actually show up on the episode. And this is also where we had merged with Kentucky Podcast Massacre for one time. And this was Kentucky Podcast Massacre's last episode.
Right.
I'm not going to get into what happened. It was nobody's fault.
Things just happen.
Nobody's fault. No blame or no ill will is meant from me or anyone else, I don't think. But shit happened, and that was the end of the first Kentucky Podcast Massacre crew, which then spawned into me and Sean taking over Kentucky Podcast Massacre after. So technically, this episode is the last Kentucky Podcast Massacre episode of the original crew.
Right.
But what did you guys think of the dynamic and everything? Because I felt like the mixture of me and Mikey and the KPM crew was actually pretty fucking good.
Yes.
I thought it was really great.
I enjoyed that one.
And I know we've had talks about it, about branching off of kind of that subject
Specifically.
With this crew,
Yep.
and branching off from just the Kentucky area to the entire U.S.
Yep.
and even overseas. I think that the coverage that you all had over all of the ones in the Louisville and Kentucky area were quite well covered, and with a lot of decent research in it all.
I did notice, I can't remember specifically what it was, but there was something that I said in the episode, and I was very wrong. But there is something in that episode, and I have since learned what it is. And I wish I remembered it, so I could correct myself right here and right now. I might go and listen to it again. I really don't want to, because I've listened to it so much. But I might go back and listen to it again and try to find what I said wrong, and I'll just like flash it on the screen. Maybe not. You'll know.
One way or
Eventually.
another, you'll find out.
But it was a fun time. It was a nice change of pace because we knew that we were going to have an episode, and we didn't have to have any cameras.
Right.
And like what we were talking about, we're thinking about branching out. Me and Mikey were always talking about doing stuff like this, and me and Sean have definitely talked about doing stuff like this. So if we do this, we might bring Sean into it.
Yeah.
Right.
About going out and doing investigations, stuff like that. The way Sean has always worded it is, if I go with him, shit always happens to him. I'll see something.
He's a magnet.
He's a magnet. I'm a skeptic. And
then you want to put me and Sean both together.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I'm a skeptic. I really don't understand the magnitude of what I'm asking
No,
for.
you don't.
I know we really talked about this one, the going out and doing investigations and getting Sean in on it, was when we went to Waverly for the tour.
Monster Bash.
Yeah.
At Monster Bash.
And where I sobered up in the middle of Waverly
Yeah.
On
Hills.
the fourth
sobered up
floor.
on the fourth floor.
Give you all an idea. So I left Monster Bash that night thinking, oh yeah, I drank quite a bit.
I'm
I
going
had
home.
2 beers, 3 flasks. I shouldn't mention that I had flasks, but
No, you shouldn't. But that's okay.
they're not doing it at Expo 5 anymore.
It doesn't matter.
It's okay now.
I had 4 flasks on me, actually. I thought I drank 3 of them. Next morning, I take stock. All 4 flasks are empty.
Oh.
Oh.
I was
So-
under the impression you only drink 3.
Yeah.
No, all 4 were empty. And so, I'm very, very intoxicated on purpose. We were told that to not go to Waverly if
You were too
if
intoxicated.
you were too drunk. I was like, fuck that, I'm getting too drunk. Like, I want to be. This is the way I remember it, and it is probably wrong.
All right.
Okay.
So, we're about to leave, and I'm like, alright, this part is in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go call Lyft then. Because that was my plan to get home. And you guys were like, how are you getting home? And I was like, I'm calling it Lyft.
Just like that.
And they were just, and you guys were just like, no, you're coming with us.
You're going with us.
I was like, okay, I'm going home. Not going home.
He, in fact, did not go home.
No, he did not.
I'm laying in the back of the car, and I'm just like,
Something I should also mention, which might
this doesn't look like my house.
Something I should also
Bigger.
mention while we're
Much
on this
bigger.
topic is I was driving. I had to slam on the brakes twice, and I sent him flying from the backseat into the floorboard
He
twice.
slid out of the seat twice.
And he's like, I'm okay! Because we were like, are you okay? He's like, I'm good! we
Just gonna stay here.
I'm good.
We finally get there.
I can see the moon.
And he's like, this doesn't look like my house. No,
it's not your house.
I'm an idiot. I know I am.
You were
But
also drunk.
this is what spawned the idea, because like I'm the skeptic asshole that doesn't care about being 4 flasks and 2 beers deep in the middle of Waverly Hills, probably very much so disrespecting a lot of them.
Actually,
No.
you weren't. You were quite
You were
respectful.
very quiet.
No, I mean disrespecting them just by my presence of the amount of alcohol.
Maybe
that. They could have
maybe.
smelled you.
That's what I mean. So, that probably... Keep in mind, I also sobered up in the middle of, like, where there's no light.
The
or anything.
worst floor to be on.
Fourth floor.
The
And there
fourth
was
floor.
one of our people was dressed up as a demon.
Yes, he was.
He was fantastic, though.
He
But
was.
here's the thing. Half of this, I don't remember.
We had
So
to
I
help
s-
him duck into the doorway.
So I sober up and I'm like... There's a demon in here. I'm not a skeptic anymore. And then I figured out what it was. But I guess...
But you were on the worst floor possible, too, because that's where all the, apparently, the bad crap happens.
Wasn't that also like where like the like...
They did. That was the surgical floor.
Well, that was also where like the open areas were, wasn't it?
No.
No.
The fourth floor.
That's the third floor.
The fourth floor was the OR.
So like
and
they didn't have
recovery
like the
room.
patios and on
No.
the floor.
No.
Okay.
The
I
patios
might
was
have
the,
been sobering up a little bit earlier.
The patios was the second floor.
Okay, I was really sobering up earlier. then.
Ooh.
Shit.
But we hit the fourth floor and you went... And I'm pretty sure that's when you saw the guy
Probably.
with the big horns.
Probably.
Because you were looking in his direction and you were like...
I heard you, and I'm like, I look back and I'm like, what is Matt? Well,
Because he had grabbed onto me and went,
But
where
for,
are we? And I was like...
but for the rest of the trip, you guys are like, we need to do an investigation here, and I'm like, fuck it, let's go. You guys can team up. I want to be alone.
yeah.
We were
And
like,
you said you wanted to
um,
spend the whole time alone on the fourth floor, and I'm like,
No.
no.
You guys can be close. I don't want anybody around me. Like I'll even freaking go into the body shoot.
We went down the body chute.
No, I was sober by then.
You were.
You have to be to get down those fucking steps.
Oh my
Oh my-
gosh.
yes, you do.
But
I want a cart so
I
we can
was
just slide
walking
down.
I was walking down there and I was like, I'd come down here alone.
I mean, I'd go down there alone.
And to think that's the way that the nurses and doctors that lived down the hill came to work whenever the weather was bad.
Mm-hmm.
They would walk up those stairs every day.
They were fit as fuck.
But the main point of that episode is we're probably going to expand on that
Yes.
with our crew.
later on.
Doing our own shit and trying to
some
find
more
something.
places as well.
Yes, I mentioned Bobby Mackey's.
Yes.
I want to do Bobby Mackey's very badly because I'm a skeptic. Bring on the portals to hell.
And I done told you, if I get drug into a portal by a demon, you gotta beat it off, but you gotta get it on camera.
I mean, I'll post it to Pornhub.
Well, I mean, we've also talked about going to Red River Gorge where the Wendigo sighting is.
I'm gonna go hunt a Wendigo.
I also mentioned that I want to see Pilot's Knob.
Yes.
Which is not as much of like a big old investigation. It's like, hey, let's go to this girl's grave.
Hey, let's go see a grave.
There's also the Louisville Witch too.
The Louisville Witch.
Which hers is over the cemetery right next to Cave Hill.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Because we're going over a little bit right now, so kind of go a little faster. This next one was Psychopaths. And obviously, when you watch through, this is where we're starting to catch our stride.
Right.
Which, of course, it's the episode right before we stop.
Of course.
And Mikey is obviously thinking more serial killer.
Right.
I was going into psychopaths.
Right.
This was an episode led by me. The research and everything was done by me. Our subject matter was done by me. This was when Mikey usually headed all the other episodes, and this was when Mikey was like, hey, it's getting a little strenuous. Couldn't we do 50-50? I was like, sure, fuck it, why not?
Right.
So I headed up the Psychopaths one, and picked Louis Keseberg,
Yes.
Elizabeth Bathory, and Jack the Ripper.
One of my favorites.
I wanted to pick one that was semi-known, really known, and not very known.
Right.
That's why I picked them the way that I did. And I think what we decided was Keseberg, not a psychopath. Bathory, definitely a psychopath.
Definitely.
Ripper, absolutely
Oh,
a
yeah.
psychopath.
Hands down.
And
There's no question.
potentially a woman, potentially a prostitute.
Dude,
Exactly.
It fits the MO and it makes sense.
So,
Jack may be a Jackie.
what did you guys?
I enjoyed that one.
I enjoyed that one a lot.
And I also noticed, and this episode is particularly bad, that there were a lot of promises that Mikey would make that, like, we'll do this in a later episode. It never
Never got
happened.
done.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll do those or not. I feel like we should just consider this a clean slate. Like, we'll do the promises we offered, not what Mikey offered.
It is something that I would like to elaborate on, though.
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
Absolutely. It's
I'd
just
like to build off
some of the
old
specific
episodes.
promises that
Yeah.
we made. But, because, like, another thing is he was like, we'll do an episode on Charles Manson soon. And I was like, yeah, we'll probably do an episode on Charles Manson.
Oh, yeah. Right.
It's just
Probably.
not because Mikey promised it.
Right.
Right. Like,
But-
I would like to do one specifically for, like, serial killers. Not just, like, psychopaths.
Yeah. I think our plan was to start with psychopaths and then slowly narrow it down.
Right.
But there really wasn't much to go over in that. I mean, did you guys know about Keseberg, though? Because, like, that was our main draw, I think, from that episode, because not a lot of people know about Keseberg.
No, I didn't.
I didn't know. I knew the name. But
Right,
that's
the
about
name stands out, but not...
Yeah. Because I mentioned it in the episode, and I'll briefly cover it again, that I was privy to Keseberg because of American Murder Song. The group, American Murder Song, Moida Song.
What? Jack. Hi, Jack. How are you?
They produce albums that have storylines, overarching storylines. Not always. There was one album that they just came out with that was like covers of other songs, but typically their albums cover a wide topic, and every song is about that topic. And they did The Devil in Camp, and which is about the Donner Party who got stuck in the snow on their way to California, basically.
Camp cannibals.
They had to because they had no food.
Right.
And the way the Devil in Camp pictures it, they kind of paint it like everybody's killing each other and eating each other, and especially the Devil in Camp, Louis Keseberg, was doing that. When you look at the history, what actually was happening was they didn't want to eat each other. They had to at a certain point. They didn't kill each other. They waited until people naturally died. So, like, somebody would starve. Now let's
And
eat
then they
them.
would eat them.
Or frostbite.
Yeah.
Right.
So I wanted to know what you guys thought about Keseberg, because that was
was
I
probably
thought it was
Interesting.
interesting.
Alright, moving on again, because, again, we're going over. This was our last... No, that was our last episode, actually. Altogether, the psychopath one. Ironically, that was the one that Mikey was making all the promises on, our last episode.
Oh.
And then there was one more episode that was done solely by me, and it was only 10 minutes long. And it was character creation. The reason I did that episode was our PR manager from Hotel had asked me to create like a 45-second long, like very, 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 very brief character creation thing for their Instagram.
Right.
I think it was actually a minute long that I could do it. And I did it, and then I also extended it for this.
Right.
So I recorded this, and then I heavily edited it down for 1 minute. I have no idea where that 1 minute long one is. Otherwise, I'd show it. Because it's literally just me just being like... but that's where this came from. And then I figured, well, if I'm going to post this, I might as well say what's been going on. And I basically gave an update. I didn't say what happened with Mikey in there, but Mikey was busy with other stuff. We'll say it now because it's not important anymore. I believe he got a new job at the time. Was having trouble finding time to record, as well as he and his wife were very newly pregnant, and at a certain point, kid comes first.
Right.
And so this kind of fell by the wayside, and I had continued the podcast without the show. And then without the show, the podcast kind of died. Is what happened.
Right.
Did you guys get to watch this last one?
I don't
Some of it.
think we got all of it. We got some of it.
I was wanting to know if you agreed or disagreed with the way I was talking about character creation.
I mean, you've got some experience with it.
Right.
We've got about the same experience with having to make characters, so I agree with your points on it.
Okay. But I guess we can call that there, because there wasn't much to talk about it. It was literally, I'm running through it as fast as possible. That's what
Yeah.
But that was BooTv Season 1.
Yeah, it was.
And it will forever be buried in my backyard. But, anything else you guys want to close out on?
I think we might end up, if it's something you're up for, going over character creation again.
Absolutely.
More in depth, obviously.
I'm actually working on an actor training guide that I would want to go over eventually.
Oh, yeah. Because I know that's something we've talked about, too. But I know with the whole paranormal thing, that's something that we've talked about doing outside.
Yes.
Later dates. And if any of you all watching, listening, whichever you're doing, whether you're not watching it and you're just listening to it while you work, whatever.
Understandable. It's kind of a podcasty style show.
Yeah.
Right.
If you want to know what all places we're thinking about, we might post that at a later date.
Yeah.
I have a list.
So she has a list.
We know of at least a couple that we want to do, and the way I told you is like the way we'll probably do it. We're doing episodes monthly now, so we'll probably do between 10 to 12 episodes a year, depending on if we want to take a break.
Right.
And 1 to 3 of those, to add in a good amount of variety, could be an investigation type episode. So, but we've got a good amount of ideas, like 4 or 5 places as is, which under that mindset of what I just said would cover us for like 2 years.
Right.
So,
especially if we're only doing monthly. But if you
Right.
guys want more and ask for more, we might up the ante to maybe 2 in a month. It kind of depends.
Don't kill me.
Don't
kill Hugh.
Don't kill Hugh. Because I know our schedules, it has to all coincide so we can
Right.
film and edit and everything.
Exactly. But is that all we want to cover?
I think that's
Think
it.
so.
Then I didn't drink at all this episode, but this is left over from last episode. I'm not chugging
I wouldn't ask you to.
because this right here is about a bottle. So, as always, for the second episode, and it feels so freaking good to be back.
Feels great to
Again.
be here.
Yes.
Again. Stay spooky, my friends. Oh, I almost inhaled that. Bye.